Good morning. Hang on, wait a second. Right, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 25th of June. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from transfer trading shots, and I'm not here to shoot around trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after the left 24 hours. Right, yesterday I was looking to see, I think we're forming one of these two bull flags here, and I think the verdict is in. Yesterday was the day to break down. I mean, it could break down today, but yesterday really was the obvious day to do it. We didn't do it. So I think I'm going with the smaller flag here, and we've got a nice looking level bottom, which is close to breaking up. I think this is going to break up, and I think the lean over the next 6 trading days into Independence Day is likely to be a bullish one. We don't have any more bearish leaning days in the meantime, obviously subject to news, which as usual is there's a lot of, and it seems to be fairly random. But subject to that, I am leaning towards seeing all-time high retests on ES and NQ. All right, so that's where we're looking on ES. That's where we're looking on NQ, where we don't have a nice looking bottoming pattern, but we're already halfway back up. 60-minute buy signal is fixed there, as I mentioned yesterday morning, hasn't quite reached the possible near miss target yet. RTY is, well, never really came much off the highs. YM never really came much off the highs. DAX got lower a bit, need to get it back over the weekly pivot. But I'm leaning towards seeing the retest of the all-time high over the next few days. ESTX never came much off the highs, and Nikkei never came that much off the highs either. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. And okay, first thing we need to do is get back over the daily middle bands, of course. We are well below the daily middle band on both SPX and Qs, which is where really yesterday's decline was focused. We came down and tested the 50 DMA, nice test. Nice hold so far, and I'm not seeing any obvious reason to think that that's going to break. So I think we're likely to return back up to the highs from here. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence. 15-minute chart, no current divergence either. In terms of the Qs, need to get back over the daily middle band here too, of course. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal on the daily, but that's reached the possible near miss target. Obviously, we still have daily RSI 14 sell signals fixed across the board on the US indices, but really, we could go back up, retest all the all-time highs, and there's still likely to all be there. On the hourly chart, no current divergence. On the 15-minute chart, we've got a little 15-minute RSI 14 buy signal, which is fixed. Dyer never made it much off the highs, never got close to testing the daily middle band. I've got a nice looking wedge here, and I was wondering about more action down here, but it could be, we'll just see that expand up to into the upside into a different wedge or possibly a megaphone. So I'm thinking this will go higher, and we will see. If we reach the obvious resistance trend line here, then that would be up in about the 534 area, and I'm wondering about that. Looking at the 15-minute chart, no current divergence. All right, let's have a look at the hang on. Right, let's have a look at looking at IWM. Never saw much of a decline here either. In fact, we made a new all-time high yesterday, I think. Never got close to the daily middle band, so no middle band to recover there. No divergence on the hourly chart. No divergence on the 15-minute chart, but really this wasn't, we did make a new all-time high yesterday. This wasn't something which was really affecting IWM or Dow to any significant extent. This was a tech-led decline, such as it was. On DAX, we've got we've had a break below the daily middle band. We've had a test of the 50 DMA, and I'm thinking the obvious next move is a retest of this all-time high, 25.5. Nikkei, watching this rising megaphone with interest. Obviously, that is suggesting some downside here. So. And I'll be watching this trend line as resistance, which is a pretty nice one. Nice looking pattern. No reason we can't go back up and retest this trend line. Wondering if that might break up if we do see that. Nikkei has been pretty strong. All right, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX is making good progress towards the target here. We've managed to make it up to 101.5. The target starts at about the 104.7 area, I think. So we're making good progress. The sell signal we had here has failed. That was very good progress. So USD, we had a buy signal there that failed too. GBP USD, we are proceeding down, but less than I expected because we're actually having a change of government in the UK here at the moment, and I thought that would probably make it weaker if it hasn't so far. USD/JPY very close to reaching 162. No, we didn't quite reach it overnight. We've been hovering below it for a while, subject to our government intervention. I think there's a pretty good chance we'll make that in the next couple of days. USD CAD heading up nicely. Australian dollar almost made it to the head and shoulder target in the 68.75 area. In terms of NZ, we've made it to the double top target, which was in the 56.300 area. We got a couple of buy signals there. Might see a bit of a rally, and the rally is a little bit overdue on the currency pairs and a pullback on DX. We'll see whether we get it. KC, I am wondering about this being a double top, which reverses this move. It takes us back into the lows. We got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed overnight. On SB, hasn't broken up from declining resistance, but we have already made the retest of this low, which is what I was expecting. So overall, this really looks as though it wants a rally. So I am wondering about a breakup here and a double bottom or some kind of reversal pattern forming. CC has headed higher. The head and shoulders here failed, went back into the retest of the high, has gone a little higher. No current negative divergence. Lumber, nice little retrace here. No current divergence, hitting some support here and might rally from here. CT leaning towards this being some kind of bottoming action. Same with ZW, same with corn, which already has a pretty nice looking little double bottom. Same with soy. ZL, we've got head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 65.5 area. Hasn't made that target yet, but might. Live cattle, I'm still looking for the retest of this high here in the 251.50 area. And HE, this looks like a bear flag setting up a retest of the low where we could continue down or set up the second low of a double bottom. Right, let's have a look at questions. Just want to have a quick look at, actually, no, sorry, I think I've just forgotten to cover bonds and oil. Sorry, it's been a long week. All right, ZB is breaking up a bit here. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing on here and ZN, but we've got head and shoulder patterns suggesting that we are going to go higher here, and I think this might be the start of a significant move up. We've got a head and shoulders, which is most definitely not failed. Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute. It's which is definitely not failed on TYX and on TLT, suggesting that bonds will go higher. ZN, we were holding a resistance trend line here pretty well, but it looks like we may well be breaking up from that. Hang on 1 second. So I'm thinking that has a decent shot. So watching that with great interest. Looking at oil, we've now got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. I've been waiting for this, and I'm thinking that we may well get a rally which will show up on the daily chart, which is not something we got when we had the last buy signal. We did have a rally of about $6, but it never moved the needle on the daily RSI. I'm thinking this one will probably do so. We shall see. CL, 60-minute buy signal fixed there too. Nothing on HO. RBOB, nice looking little double bottom. And NG, heading back up into the retest of the prior high. Keeping a very open mind on NG here, although it's not really affected by the straightforward moves. Just wanted to mention in passing here that there's news this morning, and I don't know what it is, because suddenly the odds of the straightforward moves rising has actually gone up by the end of July to 63%, which is now as high as it's been over the last couple of weeks. Don't know what the cause of that was. The news I was looking at overnight seemed to be sort of tending in the opposite direction, actually. So we will see how that goes. Might that affect the speed at which we see a rally on these hourly buy signals? Yeah, it might. We will see. But the hourly buy signals, I would expect to deliver, and we will see whether or not they will in fact deliver. They are nice buy signals. All right, looking at metals. GC, I was looking at the beginning of this week for retest these lows. We've seen them. We've got a potential level bottom here on gold, and we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. On SI, I don't have a double bottom, but I do have possible bottoming action. I've got a very nice looking falling wedge here. It's pretty tasty, actually, and we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed as well. Palladium, retested the low. No current divergence, but that's a nice looking double bottom. Platinum went and retested the lows and got a little lower. I am wondering if this might need to get a little lower still. but again, potential bottoming action. I'm quite liking a low in metals here, and I'm not particularly seeing why there wouldn't be one. I've got no real suggestion there. I've got no real target to lower. We've done the retest of the lows. We've retested that. We've set up some nice reversal patterns. I'm leaning along. HG has gone lower here. Probably go up a bit with equities over the next few days. We will see how that goes. But the smaller double top on the daily chart has actually broken down slightly. So keeping an open mind on that one. But if we are going to see another retest of the high, it would be in the next few days, in my view. So we will see how that goes. All right, great. In that case, well, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.